So Vladimir Putin is proposing a ceasefire. It's Wednesday, October 29th, 2025, and my name is Darren Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide context in the war in Ukraine. So do you buy it? Do you think that he's actually after a ceasefire, or what's going on here? Well, I'll show you the context and then let you decide. So Preston Stewart posted this. Putin proposed to his generals a temporary ceasefire at Pokrovsk so that foreign journalists could enter the city to see what's happening. Now, I don't know that anything's going to come of that, but let's watch what he has to say. This is again today.
Don't mind letting reporters, media representatives, including international and Ukrainian ones, in the encirclement zones so that they could see for themselves what is going on there.
Okay, let's first stop. Encirclement zones. This isn't encircled. Yes, Pokrovsk is very difficult. Look, but Russians are in Pokrovsk. They're not encircled. The drones have cut off roads on either side of Pokrovsk, and they're moving toward it, but it's not encircled. It's very difficult right now, but it's not encircled. But let's go back to what he had to say.
Could see the status in which the encircled troops are, could see their condition, so that the political leadership of Ukraine could decide on the further fate of their citizens, of their military people.
He's trying to make himself look bigger and badder and tougher than he actually is. It's like a puffer fish going... trying to look big. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit with the next thing.
The way they did in Azovstal. They will be given this possibility. We're just worried that there are no provocations on the Ukrainian side. We are ready to suspend hostilities for several hours, 2, 3, or 6 hours, to allow a group of journalists to enter those areas, see what's going on there, talk to Ukrainian troops there, and move out.
Okay, when Trump talks about a ceasefire, he's not talking about a 2, 3, or 6 hour ceasefire. He's talking about, hey, let's have a ceasefire, then we'll have negotiations, and then we'll move forward. So that's not what he's talking about. He's not going to get it, and he knows he's not going to get it. But now he looks like this great peace, like I want peace, and let's show what's really going on. It's not going to really work. This is Pokrovsk. It is very hard. Pokrovsk is, again, the road coming in is hit by drones. The road going out is hit by drones. The road up here, there's a small road up here that it's going to be hit by. It's very, very difficult for Ukrainian troops in Pokrovsk, but it's not encircled. There's a difference. Okay, Lavrov, meanwhile, is unhappy. This was yesterday that President Trump, along with Ukraine and Europe, calls for an immediate ceasefire. Wait a minute. Didn't Putin just... So Lavrov is unhappy about these calls from Trump and Europe for an immediate ceasefire. This was just yesterday. Where's the date here? Yeah, this was just yesterday, October 25th. So they're not on the same page. Moscow was surprised by President Trump's change of position on ending the war in Ukraine, Lavrov said. Well, I guess he was surprised by Putin today as well. Now, let's hear what else Putin had to say, because he's got a big, bad, new, even more superpower weapon than previous superpower weapons that were going to be no analog. Let's listen to this. You should know this, Putin says, and I'm going to have to read it. Yesterday, we conducted another test of another promising complex. These are unmanned underwater vehicles called Poseidon. Okay, so this is not Burevestnik, the big bad 14,000 kilometer super missile that he has that has no analog. This is something else. Also with a nuclear power plant that's powered nuclearly is what it's saying. For the first time, we succeeded not only in launching it from a submarine using a booster engine, but also in starting a nuclear power plant in which the apparatus swam a certain amount of time. This is a huge success because in addition to all the advantages that I mentioned regarding the Brezhnev, it also has minimal dimensions. It's 1,000 times smaller than a nuclear reactor on a submarine. It's 100 times smaller than a nuclear reactor on a submarine. But the power of Poseidon significantly exceeds the power of even our most promising intercontinental missile, the Sarmat, which again was supposed to have no analog. There's nothing they could do. And then there was Orishnik, and then there was the Brezhnevnik, and now there's Poseidon. So again, it's pufferfist blowing up to look big and bad and tough. And again, it's the same of the same. Okay, now, so this was just some AI image of the Brezhnevnik missile that was on AI on Russian news on X. And okay, so they're talking about this. Andrei Kartopolov, the head of the Russian State Duma's Defense Committee on Poseidon and Brezhnevnik, says this isn't about flexing muscles. It's simply a reminder to our partners that we should be talking as equals. No, it's about flexing your muscles. That's exactly what it is. And being equals means having parity. As of today, there is no parity in these types of weapons because only we possess them. So we should be talking down to you as someone who does not have the same weapons that we have because we're all cool and dreamy. Okay, Belgian defense minister says NATO will wipe Moscow off the map if Putin attacks the alliance. The Belgian defense minister stated that if Putin uses nuclear or even conventional weapons against NATO countries, the response would be devastating. The alliance would erase Moscow from the face of the earth. I don't think that's tough talk, but I don't think that's even going to happen because you don't want to get into a nuclear war and both sides know that. Of course, Putin might be likely to want to do something like that, but we'll see what happens. In response to Russian threats over potential deliveries of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. But he's also talking about this blackmail and the West shouldn't fall for it with Putin's wonder weapon, scare tactics no longer taken seriously in either the U.S. or Europe. And he was talking about Brezhnevnik, the previous wonder weapon before we got to today's wonder weapon. And okay, yeah, so he's not really like looking like trying to get to an actual ceasefire. He's talking about more look at this weapon we have and that weapon we have. And yeah. Okay, yesterday, Sergei Lavrov said that we have no intention to attack any member of NATO or the EU. We're willing to formalize this statement and the future security guarantees for this part of Eurasia, which EU leaders are avoiding on a truly collective basis. Yeah, we're going to provide guarantees to NATO. Darth Putin posted about this. Russia has no plans to invade Moldova. Okay, but Georgia. Oh, okay, but not Ukraine. But just Crimea. But just Crimea and part of Donetsk. But just Crimea and part of Donetsk, all of Donetsk, and just Crimea and all of Donetsk, Kherson, Luhansk, Zaporizhia. Okay, all of Ukraine, but not NATO. Not NATO. Like the guarantees are kind of laughable. Meanwhile, while that's happening, multiple drones were spotted overnight above the Belgian army headquarters in Marseille and Famen. I got that wrong. I listened to how to pronounce it and then I forgot. Oh, well. Belgian defense minister has confirmed similar incidents occurred on Saturday and earlier this month in Elsenborn base. Authorities say that the drones were likely operated by professionals and may have been mapping critical military areas, but we have no plans to do anything with NATO. Estonia is now shooting down Russian drones deep in the country, while the EU refuses to do the same to Russia. But yeah, they're taking it into their own hands. And again, these things keep coming. Drones are haunting Europe. It's like a specter, if I can. Bonus points if you know what I'm talking about with a specter haunting Europe. Put that in the comments below. By the way, I do these every day. If you want to know what's going on, please consider subscribing. Okay, back to the main show. Trump arrived in South Korea. No dances this time, unlike in Malaysia. He had that kind of awkward Trump dance thing going on. Trump arrived in South Korea for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC Summit. One of the main events will be meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Okay, so before he meets with Xi today he was meeting with the South Koreans, and the South Koreans were smart. I'd like to put it on right away. Trump receives a crown. It's a replica crown. South Korea decided to appeal to the U.S. president's love of luxury and presented him with a replica of a historic golden crown kept at the National Museum. Trump called it the gift a very special occasion. The Koreans clearly nailed the choice of the gift. Trump truly loves gold. And so here is the presentation.
The gold crown symbolizes the divine connection between the authority of the heavens and sovereignty on earth, as well as the strong leadership and authority of a leader.
And then there's a translation in Korean.
We present this gold crown to you on this joyous occasion of your state visit to Gyeongju. because it symbolizes the spirit of Shilla, which brought peace to the Korean Peninsula for the first time, and the opening of the golden age of the Korea-U.S. alliance.
Yeah, the Koreans know what they're doing, right? I mean, if you look at the book of Proverbs, Solomon says, a gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great, or many curry favor with a ruler, and everyone is the friend of one who gives gifts. That's not saying go and do this. It's saying this is how it actually works. When somebody does this, this is how that works out. Okay, so President Trump is also going to meet, so he's meeting with the president of South Korea, and then he's advocating already. I mean, it's already out on the White House website. He's tweeted about it. President Donald J. Trump brings home more billion-dollar deals during state visit to the Republic of Korea. And so this was on his Truth Social account. And then you see this on the White House, the official White House account, fact sheet. President Donald Trump brings home more billion-dollar deals during a state visit. And here are some of the things. Korea Air will purchase 103 new Boeing aircraft valued at $6.2 billion. The ROK Air Force selected L3 Harris Technologies to develop its new airborne warning control aircraft, a $2.3 billion deal, support over 6,000 American jobs. Just like what I showed you with what Keir Starmer was doing with Turkey the other day, same kind of thing. He's going to run a victory lap over, look what I did to provide jobs in the United States. Okay, Trump also is going to be meeting with Xi, and their conversation, well, it's going to be about these things. U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping are set to meet with South Korea to discuss easing of U.S.-China trade war and geopolitical tensions. Now, I hope that works out, because all these tariffs are kind of stupid, and they're just costing both sides more money. Preliminary talks have led to a potential agreement on rare earth export restrictions. That's one thing that he really needs to work out. TikTok operations in the U.S., okay, and trade issues, but experts doubt that there will be lasting resolution. Discussions may include Taiwan and China's support for Russia. So this is going to be important to see how this all plays out. I don't know how it's going to play out. I mean, it could be bad for Ukraine. It could be good for Ukraine. I just don't know. The meeting's expected to act as a temporary truce. We're going to be, I hope, says Trump, making a deal. I think we're going to have a deal. I think it'll be good for a deal for both. Trump said on October 29th, centerpiece of the October 30th in-person meeting is how to ease the bruising trade war. That's higher in his estimation than whatever's going on with Russia and Ukraine, but experts who spoke to Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, said that reaching a lasting trade deal is unlikely. And again, something with, splitting off Russia from China is going to be kind of second tier, third tier kind of thing for them to be talking about. I don't know how that'll work. Could they be plotting, even more nefarious things? Perhaps. Michael McFaul was out doing his book just dropped. I just purchased Autocrats versus Democrats, and I'm starting to work my way through it. This chapter on the history with Russia is really good. Chapter on China is really good. I'm cautiously optimistic that our democratic institutions are stronger than Trump, says McFaul. I'm very confident about that. My doctoral dissertation was on the founding of the Constitution, and I'm more confident than most people about this. But as I write in Autocrats versus Democrats, this is the greatest test of an American democracy in my lifetime, maybe since the Civil War. Okay, it is a test. I think in the 60s and with Nixon, you had some tests of the democracy as well. But yeah, Trump is pushing the boundaries, but I think the institutions will hold. Okay, yesterday I talked about this. This was Musk's Grokopedia and how it was biased and used the Kremlin as a source and that sort of thing. I covered that. And then I saw this today. Maria Zakharova said that the West views the latest AI and generative technologies as a means to enslave the world, she says. Quote, the concentration of leverage allows them not only to manipulate information through fakes, provocations, and lies. They have long been doing that with the help of generative technologies. Their owners and those behind them will be able to reprogram consciousness at a basic level, she said. Wait, this is the same Russia that was using 9,000 plus fakes in the Moldovan election, and she's complaining about the West, which is some chutzpah. Okay, now content linked to the Russian state appeared in almost 1 out of every 5 responses by just plain old generic AI, ChatGPT and Grok and DeepSeek and such. Responses to AI questions about Russia's war in Ukraine, according to the Institute for Strategic Dialogue. Researchers analyzed responses from 4 popular chatbots, ChatGPT, Gemini, I think it's Google Gemini, and Grok, which is related to X, and DeepSeek, which is from China. And so when I put things in DeepSeek, I would say something, and if I said anything about the Chinese government, it would be answering everything else, and say I can't answer anything about that. It was really kind of eerie to see that. Okay, researchers analyzed the responses, a series of war-related questions in English, Spanish, French, German, and Italian, and what they found was that among chatbots, ChatGPT, developed by the U.S. company OpenAI, cited the most Russian sources and was most influenced by biased queries. Responses to prompts designed to elicit pro-Russian views included information from Russian state sources in 25% of the cases, while in responses to neutral prompts, such content appeared 10% of the time. Well, okay, it makes sense why this works, because large language models, if you just ask, how does a large language model work, LLM, it's not trying to provide you truth, it's trying to predict, and it can only predict based on what's already out there. So if it's drawing on Russian state government sources because it doesn't know that Russian state government sources are less than honest, then it's going to give you bad information. That's the way it works. But how do you guard against that kind of bias? They function by predicting the next most probable word in a sequence, which allows them to generate human-like text, answer questions, and perform various other natural language tasks. But again, I was presenting a paper just 2 weeks ago about AI, and it's not providing truth. It's providing prediction of what they think is the most common. It's like the world voted through all that has been written, and this is what they provide as truth, or whatever approximation of it. That's how it works. Okay, so it also provides us things like this. Remember I showed you this, the Burevestnik Russian cruise missile? Well, okay, but this isn't the actual missile. This is some AI-generated something. And so they're complaining about this, but, running a victory lap. And then just like a week ago, I saw this, and I never talked about it, but Margareta Simonian from RT said, why did I never say sorry for the debunked Russian Gate hoax? Well, for a 20th anniversary, we got AI to make Anderson Cooper, Rachel Maddow, and Piers Morgan say the things we always wanted them to say. So she's admitting that they're saying the things that they always wanted them to say, but listen to what they're saying.
Do you ever catch yourself questioning more?
Like, why do I always parrot everything the U.S. State Department says?
Or why I always ask, do you condemn Hamas, but never Israel?
Why I never said sorry for spreading the debunked Trump-Russiagate hoax?
Why I support every illegal war the U.S. has launched this century?
Why I can't stop lying that Joe Biden was young and healthy enough for the president.
All of this is AI generated, and in time, we're not going to be able to believe our own eyes. All right, so all that is going to this metaphor alert, and that's this. This is how pufferfish inflate their bodies for self-defense. This is what Russia's doing, whether it's a ceasefire or talking about the new Poseidon or using AI in order to influence you. It's all about being a pufferfish. So that's where we are. Special shout out to Linda Burrows, an undergraduate YouTube member. Thank you, Linda, for your support. Thank you to all the rest of you for being the kind of persons that care about Ukraine. Please put your comments below. I want to read your comments. What did you think about what you saw here? And please subscribe if you haven't. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for being the kind of person who cares about Ukraine.